So welcome to video number 4, and we are going to discuss how to schedule and create your to-do list. So briefly, I talked about creating your to-do list and breaking things down into categories and subcategories and things like that. But what I want to do in this particular video is to go a lot deeper so that you can see exactly how to improve on your to-do list. So what we're going to base this on is with an acronym called SMART, S-M-A-R-T. The S stands for specific, the M stands for measurable, and the A stands for attainable, and the R stands for relevant, and the T stands for time bound. So let me break these up into 5 different parts as I'm showing you now. And let's go into specifics so that you can figure out how is this applicable to your productivity and how to help you. So first things first, let's look at specific. So we need to take a look at specific and general. What are the two differences between these two so that we know that the to-do list that we are creating is specific? So what I want you to think is I will create a to-do list outlining my daily agenda. So like I said earlier, you really want to break it down into specifics, not just career and business, but personal. You want to break it down. Okay, when you wake up, what are your major to-do lists that are constantly ongoing? And then what are the main to-do lists that you have to have done, and which ones are kind of like optional, and of course, versus I will be more productive. So rather than thinking, I'm going to be more productive today, think, I'm going to create a to-do list outlining my daily agenda. So rather than being general, because general doesn't really help us accomplish anything. In fact, it delays us and prevents us from accomplishing our tasks. And then we want to think specific. So as you are going through your whole to-do list, think specific. Now, the next thing is measurable. Obviously, the items on your to-do list need to be measurable. Measurable meaning that you need to have some sort of successful outcome, and that should be observable, and you should be able to see the results at hand and not intangible. So in other words, when you are looking at the to-do list, is it measurable? Is it something that you can actually put a priority on? Because if you can't, and you can't figure out, okay, is this going to take me at least a day? Is it going to take me 2 days? And you don't have to be exact, but you have to have a ballpark view of what possible time frame this is going to take. So for example, you take a look at your complete list of your daily agenda, and you itemize it according to priority. So using the time management matrix that I showed you in the previous video, which quadrants do those actually belong into? Is it measurable? Then we look at attainable. Is it reachable? Is it something that we can actually reach towards? So what I recommend that you do is you have a list of tools and resources to create your to-do list. So is it attainable? And the next one is relevant. My goal is relevant to my needs or bigger goal. So as I talked about earlier, if you break things up into baby steps, are those baby steps actually relevant to meeting your future long-term goal, your future long-term needs? If it doesn't, then it doesn't really make it relevant, and you might want to, push that as not urgent and not important. And that way you can figure out which quadrant it'll actually belong into. And writing this down really definitely is going to help you out. And then of course we have, last but not least, time bound. I will complete my to-do list by such and such date. So we obviously need to take a look at, is that priority, is that to-do list going to be reachable by a certain date? So after we figure that out, we need to set a timeline. And if you're thinking, okay, should I set a timeline for all of the exact to-do lists and everything like that? Yes, but you want to break it down into bits and pieces. And by doing so, that's going to allow you to see, okay, your constant, consistent to-do lists that you have to do every single day, how much is actually taking you as far as time goes. Because if you know that, okay, you wake up, you brush your teeth and all that stuff, that's only taking you like 15 minutes, or even maybe it's taking you an hour. You can squeeze it down and figure out how to, combat it and speed the process up. And I'll talk about speeding the process up in just a minute, because that is part of productivity as well. So the next thing you need to do is to make sure that you keep a diary. And what I would do personally is I would check things off. I would say, is this, taking a long time, and this is not really urgent or important, but it's taking me more time than it is the more urgent and important things. And because you know that, and once you know that, then you can actually act. But if you don't know that, you're not going to be able to act. And then, of course, you're going to want to set reminders. And we can always use tools like Wunderlist to set timers and set reminders and notify us via iPhone, via smartphone, via email when things need to be taken care of. So that's why we have the tools to help us out. But before we utilize the tools, we want to make sure that we have the right knowledge to apply that. So that brings us to video number 5, the 80-20 rule.